We are live.
We are live.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Brad is in Red Robin.
Is he?
Yep.
Fucking Red Robin.
Is in Red Robin.
That's me.
Yep.
Strawberry.
Wait a minute.
Iced tea.
Have people in the chat already? Hey, Liam. Hey, Gary. Now it's dark. Here we go. Oh, you're working over now. Okay. Oh. Okay, and Brad's in Red Robin.
Yep.
Right. Got my Ty West list. Right next to my
Ty West Wednesday.
right next to my Chuck Norris list.
Yeah.
What was your number 10 for Chuck Norris?
Yeah. What was my number 10?
I don't remember. Mine was Firewalker.
Good guys wear black.
Oh, you suck. I still can't believe that one. Come on, man. When he flies through that windshield, shit.
Yeah.
And there's a Firebird in every movie. Come on.
But this is Ty West Wednesday.
Ty West Wednesday.
Not Norris Saturday, whatever the hell day it is.
And I'll say this now.
No.
And we'll say it again later. We're doing every single movie he did, except for Trigger Man.
Yeah. And we're also not doing anything like anthologies that he didn't direct completely.
We probably could have, but
but then
we're not tough.
Then we're not really judging just his film. We're judging somebody else's as well, you know.
Speaking of, while we're waiting for everyone to get here.
Hey, Verge.
Hey, Verge. Hey, Royce. While we're waiting for everybody to get here, I did watch his short film Fear. That was 10 minutes. That was on, I think it was The Roost. Was it on The Roost?
Yeah, I think it was on The Roost.
You know, I liked it. He proved that he could, well, he's done that since then anyway, but in that film Fear, he has very little substance because it's a student film. So he really proves, I think, that he can kind of build suspense.
Yeah.
But then I'm watching it and I'm like, okay. I'll give you a synopsis. Two guys are out, and I love the setting because it's snowy. You should watch it. It's only 10 minutes. But
I don't have 10 minutes.
Don't have 10 minutes. The setting is really snowy, and these two guys are being chased by something. And you don't really find out what it is, of course, until the end.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're trying to get away. And that's basically the 10 minutes. So
who's chasing the toxic fandom?
Toxic fandom. Well, you know, we could be called toxic fandom.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Creep. What's up, man?
So so what we're going to be doing, guys, we are going to be ranking 8 of his films. And the reason why we're not doing Trigger Man is because we don't own it. Yeah. So just like everything else that we do on YouTube, you know, we really don't talk about movies that we don't own. It's just a rule that Jason and I sort of abide by, and that's just how it is. I
kind of do want to see it now, though, to be honest.
I do. It's just for some reason it's expensive. So I'm
Is it?
Yes. I mean, it's like $25 on Amazon. And
fuck that.
Do I want to spend that much money on a movie I haven't seen yet? I don't even know if it's you know what I mean? I'd rather wait until I find it cheap or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Whatever. Like I said, I mean, we're ranking the 8 that we have. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I didn't even know Trigger Man existed until I was looking at his list of movies. So.
Yeah, you and me both. After one of his films, I'm content with waiting to see.
Well, I guess that's a good leeway into your last place.
Yeah, we'll get there. We will get there. A gift option. Your videos like Joe has. What's a gift?
So people can like donate to your channel.
Oh, I appreciate that. I really do. And I've had people ask me before, but I think money tends to cloud judgment sometimes, and I also don't want this to feel like a job because I do enjoy doing it for the most part. And I'm more than happy to give everybody my opinion for free. So, but I appreciate that, though. I really do. Christmas, Bloody Christmas is my favorite horror movie. Hell yeah. All right. I'm a big Joe Bagos fan. I'm like so jealous right now that I don't have Shudder because I want to see that so bad. He's one of my favorite directors.
I mean, same thing with me. I'm really looking forward to it, but again, there's a physical release coming, so I'm just gonna
look. Sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. It's already scheduled. I think it's February. So it's like I'm gonna look forward to it because I know that when that comes out, it's gonna be like a day one buy for me because I keep hearing all these great things about it. So
yeah.
When it comes out in February, I'll be at the store buying it, and I'll definitely excited about that.
Yeah, and Brad actually, who's in the chat, he did a review on Christmas, Bloody Christmas, and like I said, hearing what everybody said about it, I cannot wait to see it.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm pretty psyched for that. I did get a chance to see Dark Glasses, which was the reason why I did my free 7-day trial for Shudder. And then, of course, if I had just waited like 2 more days, I'd have been able to see Christmas, Bloody Christmas. Just to see it. I mean, I'm going to own it anyway. So, I mean, but I do want to see it, though. I'm like chomping at the bit here.
Yeah.
Tired of having to wait for shit like Halloween ends. Yeah.
Yep.
But we didn't have to wait as long as everyone else. Thank you so much, Royce. I really do appreciate it. I really do. Yeah, Dark Glasses is good. While we have some time, I talked to Joe about this. I'm a Dario Argento fan. I've seen all of his movies but one. I own all of his movies but one. And I really wanted to see Dark Glasses. I wasn't sure if it was going to be getting a physical release, which it is in February, I think.
I think so.
But everybody expects all of his movies to be like The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, like Suspiria, like Opera, like Four Flies on Grey Velvet, movies like that. People don't seem to understand that was a time and a place that will never be replicated by anyone. It doesn't matter if Fulci was still alive. It will never be replicated because it was just that time where Italian horror was really taking off with Gialli and just, I don't know. There is a certain kind of magic with Italian horror that I love because they're not afraid to put everything in the kitchen sink in the film. And even though sometimes it comes off as a little silly, I just love it. So for what it was, I think Dark Glasses was a really, really good film. And I'm one of the few people who like his later films like The Card Player and Giallo, which you have that, don't you, Joe?
I like Giallo. And
Giallo is really good.
A lot of people hate that movie.
Yeah, I don't understand.
That's going to be a positive spin at some point for sure.
Exactly.
Because that is like a hated movie.
Yes, it is.
I really like it.
So, I don't know. I just don't get it. I like Trauma. I like Sleepless. Do you like Hitchcock is really good? And I just don't understand it because you're not going to get The Bird with the Crystal Plumage again, ever. ever. So people who have that against Dario Argento need to just put that away. Because
I don't even think it's not even just him. I think it's people. It goes to what we were talking about earlier too. People want like certain things certain ways, and when they don't get it, it's wrong, and they don't like it. But just because it's not how you expect it to be, and it's not exactly what you like in the past, doesn't mean it can't be something you like now in the present.
Exactly.
And it goes back to people claiming they want original horror films. They get them, and then they complain because they're too different than what they are used to. So, but do people not understand that that's the point of something being original? That it's not going to be much like what we already have.
Yeah. The new TCM and Hellraiser. Yeah, we're not going to get releases of that.
I mean,
I don't know. I know. I have TCM. I actually have it twice. You sent me a copy of it, and my friend Glenn sent me a copy of it.
You have Hellraiser coming your way soon. So.
Yeah. But for the people who don't want to subscribe to Hulu or Shudder, Shudder usually releases their stuff, or say Netflix or Disney. Disney's another one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it kind of it's not fair. It's almost like that's all right. They I mean, would it really hurt to do a limited run?
I mean, even still, I have Netflix and Hulu and everything, and I still want physical copies because it's just I'm a person who likes physical media.
Yeah,
what happens when they stop streaming it? You know what I mean? Like, what's going then what? You can't watch it, and then also
what happens when they crash?
And especially, exactly, and then especially when you have movies that are from other, established franchises. Like, I'm going to have every other TCM movie except for that one. I'm going to have every other Hellraiser movie except for that one. Hell no. I mean, so I make my homemade copies, and then if an official copy were released, I'm buying that. But if they're not going to release it, then I'm going to do my own thing.
Yep. 100%. I mean, the whole anti-piracy and everything, the anti-burning the copies or whatever, you kind of run the risk of it becoming how do I put it? Like, if you don't do that, then you don't have a copy of it.
Exactly.
What about all the things that are lost on VHS? You're not going to find those on VHS.
Yep.
I mean,
I heard Prey is getting a release. Creep. I'm not sure when. But supposedly they announced the release for it. I don't know if and when it is for sure.
It's really good. You'll like it, Joe.
I waited to make a copy of that because I heard that it was getting a physical release.
Right.
But if for whatever reason,
seen it yet, though, right?
I haven't. No, because I was just like I said, I was waiting for that. But if it doesn't, then I'll have to make one of those too.
Yeah. It's a shame. I mean, I don't know. Just like you said, the thing that kind of hurts the most. I mean, when you're watching Hulu and you made the copies of the In the Dark, I think it is the series. Into the Dark.
Yeah.
I mean, that's frustrating enough as it is. But when you have every other movie of Hellraiser or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you can't tell me that people aren't going to buy it even if they don't like it.
Or like Gerald's Game on Netflix, or Hush on Netflix. Like those are two that people really like. Those are two movies that people really like, and they don't release them. Or the fact that Netflix released the first 2 seasons of Stranger Things and they stopped releasing them after that. I mean, either commit to it or don't.
I think what happened with that, with the whole Stranger Things, because I used to see them everywhere. Because Target and all were selling out the special VHS boxes.
They were actually exclusive. They were actually exclusive to Target.
Yeah.
But then what was happening was all the overstock of Target was going to other stores.
Yep.
But the physical release, no matter what, the only store that you were able to buy that was Target at first. And then the copies that you see anywhere else were literally Target copies. Like that was just an exclusive thing for Target. Like Walmart didn't have Stranger Things. No one else did except for Target.
Yep.
Then, like I said, their overstock went to other stores, so that's why you might see it other places now.
Yeah, they would make money. I don't get it either. I'm glad, most people see it. I'm hoping most people see that that's the case, that they're kind of cutting off their nose to spite their face in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, what does happen if, say, it crashes or it gets bought out and somebody decides to shut it down? I mean, you're screwed then.
Yep.
Yeah. It's frustrating. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. I never thought we would see physical media start to die.
Well, like I said, it doesn't help when you go on release day and the stores don't even put their new stuff out.
Yeah.
That shit pisses me off. I mean,
yep.
And then you have a case like this where some of these Walmarts released Halloween Ends early. I mean, so half the time on release day they don't put the stuff out, and then other times they're putting stuff out early. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad to get it early, but then I go to look for other things, they don't even put it on the shelf on the day it's supposed to be released.
Yep. Yeah, it's very frustrating. And that was the Aberdeen one, the one that you told me about, where I got Halloween Ends, was the one that had the most physical media.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it yesterday either, but I should have went around and recorded everything to show you what it's like now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's disgusting. It is. It's literally disgusting what they've done to that section.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing anything else with it. This has been gone now for like 6 months, maybe. They've been cutting back and cutting back and cutting back to the point where over half of the shelves are empty. Not sold out, empty. And they're not doing anything else with the space. So
I think the most depressing for me is Target now. Target is just fucking awful.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they have like this little tiny little section now, and that's really it.
Yep.
They used to have a nice movie section. Best Buy was pretty bad, back in the day. Best Buy had an amazing section.
Yes, they did.
Now it's barely anything. It's frustrating.
Brad's eating, but still here. You want to start in a minute?
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
All right. Yeah, Target's ridiculous now. You can actually find more toys than you can movies now. Even video games, which I don't like that either, but I do understand it a little bit better. I mean, they want you to download it rather than to, buy a physical copy of it. I mean, I kind of get it, but I've always been the type that, I'm older, of course. If you're Brad or Joe, I'm older than Moses, but, I've always been the type to like to be able to hold it in my hand and, look at the liner notes and all.
I think when you're paying for something, I feel like I need to like hold it to know that I have my money's worth. Like paying for like a movie that I can't physically own, or paying for a video game that I can't physically hold in my hand. Like, why am I spending this much money on something that just exists in the air? And then at any given time, like you said, there could be some kind of like corruption in the file and you lose it or whatever, and then how do you prove that you even have it? It's one of those things where once it's gone, in that case. You get some kind of crash or whatever. When it's my physical copy, it's like I have it and that's it. If it gets damaged, that's on me. If I lose it because it's a digital copy and something goes wrong there, there's nothing you can do about it. You already paid for it.
Yep.
I don't know.
And it's like, oh, you're so sad, too bad,
It's just it's weird to me. That'd be like someday, like you're hungry, so you go to a restaurant, you hand the money, and then suddenly you feel full, but you never got any food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck did I just pay for?
100%. 100%. I may not get it next week.
I'll probably get it because there's the Walmart exclusive Steelbook, so I'll probably go just to get the Steelbook.
Really?
Before it sells out, because I don't want to be one of those things where then later on I'm like, I should have got it when I had the chance.
Yeah.
I'll probably go and get it.
They're not even looking. Oh, actually, we are. We've been answering everyone. So thank you, Lewis. Anyway, are you ready to?
I don't think we missed any comment in the chat. So
no, we didn't. It's all right.
All right.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Well, it's not an opinion when it's fucking fact.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I mean, this is where the world's going wrong. Everybody thinks certain things are opinion. That's not really an opinion.
That's true.
We've been answering every comment in the chat.
So I just took care of that for a while. So
you ready to go?
Yes, we are.
All right.
All right. We're doing 8 movies, which are their 8, I guess, most popular films, I guess.
I would say. I mean,
yeah. So, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay.
Your last place.
My last place is a Thai Western called In the Valley of Violence. In a Valley of Violence. This, of course, Ethan Hawke, John Travolta. Just to give a brief synopsis, Ethan Hawke plays a drifter who has a dog companion. Some people in a town that want him gone do something to his dog, and he wants revenge. That's kind of like a brief synopsis. I'm not going to tell you who plays what, except for Ethan Hawke. But I just didn't like this. I didn't like it. There's things I liked about it, but all in all, it seemed like something was missing, or something just didn't feel right about it. I don't know. It's about the best I can explain it. I had a rough time with it, very rough time. So, and I've been a big Ty West fan since House of the Devil. So, yeah. What about you, Joe? What's your number 8? I already know what your number 8 is.
You don't actually, because
really,
after you and I talked yesterday, I really thought about this. Okay, and I don't want to spoil what my number 7 is.
Okay.
But my number 8 is also going to be In a Valley of Violence, and I'll tell you why. Because of something you said, I am more likely to rewatch my number 7 not because of the movie itself, but because of something it's connected to, and something else is going to be connected to.
Right.
And I'll get to that when we go to number 7. But In a Valley of Violence will be my last place. With that being said, I did like it. I didn't love it, but I liked it more than Jason liked it. It starts out a little bit like but I for me personally, when it got going pretty good for me. I really enjoyed the whole revenge aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, it wasn't Ty West doing a Western. It was a Thai Western. It was like his own sort of version of a Western where he wasn't trying to do a traditional Western. And I feel like there's a little bit more than meets the eye, but it's still not my favorite, obviously, of the bunch. Like I said, I may actually prefer it to my number 7, but I'm more likely to rewatch my number 7 because of certain connections it has. So for that reason, and because a lot of my rankings are based on rewatchability, In a Valley of Violence will be number 8 for me. Me too, Verge, for the most part. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, me too. This one, it just didn't feel like a Western to me. Not to keep going on and on about it. Like I said, there are things I really did like about it. I really liked Ethan Hawke in this, even though I didn't in the beginning. He kind of grew on me over time. So did another character that I'm not going to mention. But it doesn't feel like a Western. And I love Westerns. I love them.
Yeah.
And this just didn't feel right to me. So, yeah. All right.
Our number 7, I think, is the same, correct?
Probably, I would imagine.
So let me say it out loud. Let me say it out loud for everybody to hear. Our number 7, that means second to last, almost dead last. And believe me, I wish I could make it dead last. And I very rarely say this stuff about movies. I get criticized for liking things too much.
Yeah.
But in this case, I will say, for all of you who love this movie, Pearl is at number 7 for both of us.
Yeah.
Because Pearl is one of the most overrated movies of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'll make that very clear. I'm glad.
Actually, I'll do you one further and say it's probably the most overrated movie I've ever seen.
I'm glad people love it. Don't get me wrong.
I am too.
I will always be happy when people like stuff. But for the life of me, my God, why?
Yeah.
What is like? I said this
like in a Valley of Violence, rather than keeping it to like a rant. Just like in the Valley of Violence, there are things I like about this film.
That's what I was just going to say. In my review of Pearl, I said it. It's a good movie objectively. It is shot gorgeously.
Yeah,
it is
acted well.
It is a beautifully made movie. Mia Goth is fantastic in the role. I know a lot of people keeps talking about that, but at the end of the day, that's it. That is really it. The first hour of the movie, I'm sorry, but it is a chore to get through. And I said this the first time I watched it, and when you and I
100%.
watched it again, together, I was like, this hasn't improved for me.
No.
And after the first hour, it gets a little bit better, and then it's the last 15 minutes that are the good part of the movie.
Yep.
I really love those last 15 minutes. The problem
other than
that last shot of her smiling for way too long.
Oh my God, please turn it off.
The problem is, up until that point, it's like, just get on with it already.
Yeah.
I
really do like the last 15 minutes. I was like, oh shit, here we go. We got a winner here.
But it's too late. It's a little too late. It's a little too, it's a little too late.
I think you're right. I think you're right. And I think that I would have liked this movie more had that last shot not been in there. That last shot just pissed me off. God, it pissed me off.
My thing is too, like I said to you even before you watched it, it's like the Wizard of Oz meets a little bit of Evil Dead, a little bit of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it really takes on that Wizard of Oz tone way too much. It's the way, it's like it's its own genre. Like, it's a horror movie, but it's also like this like time period musical. I don't really know what they were going for it. What Ty West was going for with it. It's unique, and like I said, it was beautifully shot. There are some amazing shots in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's not one that I can see myself wanting to revisit too often. And the reason why I put it above In a Valley of Violence is because what makes it slightly more rewatchable is that it is a prequel to X, and it is also going to be a prequel to Maxine, which is due out next year, which is the sequel to X. So In a Valley of Violence is a standalone. I may never watch it again if I don't want to. Whereas Pearl, chances are, when Maxine comes out, I might go back and watch X and Pearl again before I watch Maxine, and watch them all together, that sort of thing. So
especially if you're going to rank them too.
Exactly. There is a reason that I would watch Pearl again, even though I really am not a fan. I remember saying it to you after I watched it for the first time. I remember messaging you and saying, I didn't like it. And I don't say that often.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that I
believe me, we get criticized.
Yeah, and it's not to say that I don't love stuff about it. But overall, as a movie, I was just not impressed.
And even though I think it's really well acted, and I think that Mia Goth is a really good actress, there are parts where she really shines.
I agree, Verge, definitely.
And there are parts where I just want to smack the shit out of her. I'm sorry. And
I think what you said
annoys a piss out of me.
When we were watching it, I think what you said is accurate. I don't think she can carry it as much as everybody's giving her credit for. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think she was really good. She was better than, like, if I had only seen her in X and nobody was raving about her performance, I'd probably see it and think, wow, she's really good in this. She's more talented than I would have imagined.
Yes.
With that being said, people calling her Oscar worthy and all this, come on. I mean, she's not that good. And I also feel like the movie is a little bit too long for her to carry by herself.
Yes.
It's an hour and 44 minutes.
Yep.
She's really the only character I mean, there are other characters, but she's the only main character you really get. She's not really a protagonist, but she's the only one we really have as a protagonist, if that makes sense. Like, who's the good guy in this movie? There is no,
Yeah.
we're supposed to empathize with her, but minutes into the movie, she kills that goose. So
Yeah.
you can't,
That's right out the door.
you can't really sympathize with her either. So they didn't really establish a character you feel bad for in that movie. It's like
And
you're
plus,
supposed to.
what happens to her. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you're supposed to feel bad for her, but she's
Right.
I don't. I mean, that's where it kind of goes wrong for me.
Not a bit. Not a bit. And it's a shame too. And I tell you what, Verge said something that I completely agree with. He said, "I liked X, but not enough for a franchise."
Same way. I agree.
Attempt. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and Creep. Same with me. Obviously, Pearl I have ranked here, and we haven't gotten to X yet. But
yeah,
I prefer X to Pearl, and a lot of people prefer Pearl to X. Pearl has a 7.0 out of 10 on IMDb, which is super high for a horror film. I mean, 7 out of 10. It's like going into it. And I don't even think it's a case that I went into it with too high expectations, because typically I can go into a movie and really still appreciate it for what it is if it is that good. But I was just waiting and waiting and waiting, like, where is this masterpiece everybody is talking about?
Yeah.
And then it ended, and I'm like, okay, well, I liked those last 15 minutes, but that's it. I felt like when I watched Get Out, I was like really expecting it to be more than it was.
Yeah.
Based on everybody's reaction to it.
Yeah, I completely agree. With that being said, I think I like Get Out better than Pearl.
I do too.
I mean, actually, I don't even think so. I know so.
Which is funny because, I think it was last year I did my video of the most overrated horror films of all time, in my opinion. Yep. And Get Out is like number one for me.
Yeah.
Up until now. I think Pearl may be the most overrated. I truly do. And again, I'm not, I don't hate the film.
Yeah. I like it. I'll just say I like it.
There are things
it's a very small like.
Exactly. There are things that I really like about it. But as a whole, it's a disappointing movie for me.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's a shame too, because after hearing everyone go on and on about X, I expected a lot out of that. But then it seemed like at first I didn't hear a whole lot about Pearl, but then all of a sudden it exploded.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, really? All right. Well, I'll watch it. And believe me, I watch things with my own eyes. If we don't agree, we don't agree. We don't agree on a lot of things, but that was a rough one. It was rough. It was rough to get through.
It's a shame too.
Yeah.
Because the quality is there of like the filmmaking quality is there.
He can shoot a film.
I just felt like it didn't offer anything new. Again, people were talking about it again. Well, people say this about X too, about this originality. Why is so damn original about it?
Yeah.
It's like, this crazy girl who wants to get away from her life and starts killing people because she's unhappy. I mean,
yeah, because she's oppressed.
Where's the story?
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. That's all we get. There's no backstories. There's no side stories. There's nothing. There's no side characters doing other stuff. That's it. That's all we get.
Yeah.
We have an hour and 44 minutes of depressed, psychotic Mia Goth, not even really doing much until an hour into the movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the first hour is just whining. I want to get out of here and I want to do this. And then finally, like, the last 50 minutes is when you really get some good stuff.
Yeah. And just like you said before, you should feel bad for her, but I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was a big mistake, that whole goose thing. I understand what it led to, because I don't want to give this away because I know Verge hasn't seen it yet. But I mean, I get it. I understand. That's fine. But they could have handled that a different way where you would have at least sympathized.
And then even if that part wasn't there, and then the way she is with her father kind of bugs me.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
just, and I know it's meant to be disturbing. I'm not saying that, oh God, it's not like I'm offended by it, but it's
Yeah.
just like it's not a character that I'm going to sympathize with because
Yep.
she does very weird things with her dad who can't
Yeah.
do anything because he's in the wheelchair, and it's just it's just an odd choice. Like again, like who were we supposed to root for in that movie?
Actually, I rooted for somebody. I'm not going to say who it is because, like I said, I don't want to give anything away. But yeah, I did root for someone, but that was very short lived.
Yeah.
So, so, and I wasn't too sure about that person in the beginning either. So, but all right, let's get on with number 6. I don't know if we have the same thing, so we might. We might not. My number 6 is going to be X.
Okay.
Now, Joe said something to me when we were starting this, and we had watched a few, got under our belts. And I kind of agree with what he said. The problem is, as I watched these films, well, let me tell you what he said first. He said he didn't want to lump these together because I think we both feel that X is a way better film.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't justify putting anything else below this that I'd seen. So number 6 is X. I like X a lot better than I do Pearl. There are certain scenes in that I think are worthy of the term masterpiece, but that's it, just certain scenes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mia Goth in this, I think, is very underutilized. And that's going to sound really weird for the people who have seen it.
Yeah.
But Maxine, which is going to be the sequel, doesn't really do much.
Yeah, I agree.
So you're left with, like I said, I don't want to spoil this in case people haven't seen it yet. Let me just say that I do like this film. I like it better than Pearl. But once again, I couldn't justify putting it any higher than any of the other films. So that's how it is. Your number 6, Joe?
My number 6 is The Roost.
I had a feeling.
So
it won't be next time you watch it. I'll almost guarantee that.
It was almost number 5.
Yeah.
The reason why I have it here, without spoiling my number 5, is that my number 5, despite me liking maybe The Roost maybe more overall as a movie, I think my number 5 has moments of brilliance that sort of outshine The Roost. And also it's like a sort of a subgenre preference. Like The Roost is, we'll just say The Roost is not a slasher film. Whereas my number 5 is. I much prefer slashers than what this movie is, but I do like how this one was done.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that it takes place on Halloween.
Yes.
I love the opening, the middle, and the end segments.
Tom Noonan.
Yep, with Tom Noonan that make it seem like it's like a Halloween special.
Yep.
Which is really cool. I love that. I absolutely love that. That's like my favorite part of the film. My favorite thing about the film, I think.
Jesus Christ. You know, that's what got me to watch it again.
It is. It's just
it is. Yeah.
It's very like nostalgic. And even the movie itself, the way it's shot feels very nostalgic. It feels like a 80s, 90s shot on video sort of movie.
Yeah.
Like independent shot on video kind of horror film. I really do like that. I like what they did with the subgenre, despite it not being one of my favorite subgenres. I almost wish that it wasn't that subgenre, because then this movie would probably be a lot higher in my ranking, because I really do like it. I love the nostalgia of it. I love the look of it. I love the atmosphere in this one. I think it's just the topic, the villain in this movie is not necessarily my favorite.
Yeah.
and that's what kind
I
of
get that.
drops it down for me. But it is a really fun movie. Like I said, I love the Tom Noonan stuff. If people like nostalgic horror stuff set on Halloween, this is a good one to check out. And this was Ty West's first feature film.
Yep. And it does have a student film on here called Fear, which I was talking about a little bit earlier. As far as what Verge just asked, which I think is a really good question, these were my two first-time watches, In the Valley of Violence and Pearl. And Joe, his first-time watches were, if I remember correctly, these two. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I forgot one. His were In the Valley of Violence, The Roost, and if I remember correctly, The Sacrament, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's going to be important because I think you're going to feel the same way I feel when you watch The Roost again. I think. Because I wanted to watch it again. Simply, okay, well, let me just get to my number 5 because we're already talking about it still.
Okay.
My number 5 is The Roost.
Okay.
The first time I watched it, I didn't like it that much. I liked the Tom Noonan parts.
Yeah.
But the rest of the film, I wasn't in the mood to watch what this film was. And that was just my specific mood at the time.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is for me. It's like I got to be in the mood for that sort of subgenre.
Exactly. So what made me come back and watch it again, was because I have Showtime, and that's what this was produced by, Showtime. But it was on again, and I remember those parts with Tom Noonan. And I thought maybe it was another film, but I was like, no, I'm pretty sure it was The Roost.
Yeah.
So I watched it again, and I'm like, this movie's pretty goddamn good. And then I watched it again. And then I watched it with Joe. And I think I like it a little teeny bit more every time I watch it. Simply because of the claustrophobia of the barn.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way,
same
Joe,
barn, yeah.
The
same barn featured in Alfred Hitchcock's Marnie.
Yeah, which I thought was really cool. I didn't know that. It does get better as you go along. And one thing that Joe pointed out in the film, this is a mix between a bunch of different genres, kind of, but part of it is a creature feature, kind of, or animals that attack. And I thought because of the low budget, things look better than they should have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's all I'll say about that in case you haven't seen it. But
one last thing about The Roost too I want to mention is I like that. I'm not going to spoil what it is. There's a certain point when they go back to the horror host, Tom Noonan, and something happens that is sort of unique. And then it goes back to the movie that we've been watching.
Yep.
So if anybody has seen it, I thought that was a nice little touch there.
There were a few nice touches.
Yeah.
He didn't follow strict protocol when he made this film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a few things that really surprised me about it.
Yeah.
Only once I was okay. All right, Verge. All right, you're number 5.
Number 5 is X. So we
that.
just flopped these two, and like I said, it was close for me. I considered having The Roost here and X one spot below, but for me, it came down to, again, there's moments of brilliance in X. Like Jason said, there are moments that I would consider masterpiece moments. Landslide, for example, that scene is incredible for me. I've watched that scene by itself multiple times, like on YouTube and stuff like that. I just really like that scene. Don't Fear the Reaper, another one.
Yes.
That scene is absolutely amazing. And then something that happens at the end, which I won't spoil, which I think is great.
Yes.
Hey, Jack. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Jack. What's up, buddy?
But X, overall, as a movie, it's like I was disappointed in it because, again, I feel like people really have it overrated. And don't get me wrong, I like X. I like it much, much more than Pearl.
Yeah.
I feel like the entirety of Pearl, even with its good stuff, isn't even close to the best moments in X.
Yep.
If that makes sense. Like X has like moments that are better than the whole movie of Pearl.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how much I like X more than Pearl. But I'm still not blown away by it as a whole. There are just scenes that I love to watch over and over again. I wish I could almost just watch those scenes in like a compilation without having to watch the rest of the movie. And it's not that I don't like other things in the movie. There's just nothing that special.
Yeah.
There are characters I like in this one now. That's where it also changes from Pearl for me. There are characters in X that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Even characters that you might not think you're going to like at the beginning that end up turning out, you know what, this is actually a decent guy.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
there's certain things like that in X that I appreciate.
Me too.
I agree that Mia Goth was. I understand what you mean. How it might seem confusing to someone who's seen it, but I feel like Mia Goth as Maxine was underutilized, and that's probably because we'll see more of her in the sequel now. You know, Maxine with the triple X. I guess we'll see where they're gonna go with that. They do kind of leave it open where I kind of think I know where they're going with it. But yeah, I watched X when it first came out. I had a screener of that, and I remember reviewing it and saying the same thing. Like, hey, listen, I really like it. You know, at that time it was in my top 5 of the year, but this was also earlier in the year. But as time has gone on, you know, I've watched plenty of other movies that came out this year that I prefer to X. All these people putting X and Pearl in their top 5, even top 2 of the year. It's like, that's great. That's awesome. But I personally don't see it. I mean, I feel like both of these movies are very, very much overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Brad, Joe, and I watched it.
Yeah.
And surprisingly enough, because there's a lot of times we don't agree, but we all pretty much felt it was very overrated.
It is, and X was the big one for everybody. Like Brad just mentioned, the original. When X came out, everybody was talking about, "Oh, this is the most overrated horror film we've gotten in years." So clearly, these people missed a lot of horror films because it's not original. Yeah. I'm sorry, but it's not. It's not. It's a good modern day slasher, but it's not original. So if you're watching it thinking it's going to be this original film, it's not that. It feels like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre cousin.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it feels like to me. It really, it does. It
does. It does.
Like,
especially because of the house and all.
Yeah, like an unofficial sequel to Texas Chainsaw. But yeah, I mean, again, even saying all that, I do like X more than Pearl, you know, more than the others I've mentioned so far because of its moments of brilliance. But I wish it were better. I wish it lived up to the hype. And I do see it as more rewatchable than Pearl. You know, I mentioned like when Maxine comes on, I'll probably go back and watch X and Pearl and Maxine so I can do like a ranking or something. But there may be also times when I just decide to watch X and then maybe Maxine and just skip Pearl because
if it's any good.
Yeah, I'm just not a huge Pearl
fan. Yeah. And I really think that they would have been better off making X a 2-hour flick and maybe putting some of the parts in Pearl in as a flashback because a lot of it's not needed.
Yeah.
I think they would have really done themselves a big favor by doing that. But I mean, what do I know? They're selling tons of these things.
See, Creep. See, you know what? Nope. I've heard 2 things. I heard people that really don't like it, people that love it. I went into Nope thinking it was going to be the opposite. I'm not a huge fan of Jordan Peele's first 2 movies. I found Get Out to be incredibly overrated. I mean, it was nominated for a Best Picture Oscar. Like,
was it really?
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts to me that Get Out was nominated for Best Picture. But
wow.
Hey, cool that horror's getting recognition, I guess, despite all the other great horror movies over the years that haven't been nominated that probably should have. But that's anyway, X, you know, so I watched Get Out and I was really thinking, that's it. Us, I watched Us. I liked Us more than Get Out.
I loved Us,
but I still wasn't really blown away by it. So I was like, I'm on the fence with Jordan Peele. You know, I prefer like Robert Eggers or Ty West or Ari Aster, Joe Bagos, Ari Aster. You know, other directors. People talking about Jordan Peele like he's the next Hitchcock or whatever. But I watched Nope with very low expectations, and I have to say, I actually really like Nope. But hey, we can all agree.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Jack. All right. We got number 4. This is where Joe and I are going to differ. At least I think so, anyway. My number 4, and this was a tough one for me, was Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever. I am a big fan of Cabin Fever, the original. And when I originally saw this, when it first came out, I did not like this because of the drastic difference in tone. Now, with that being said, I have not seen it since then. I've had this DVD for a while. I think I actually was with Nick when I bought it, when he came up to see me. And I loved it this time. I had a blast with it. It's one of the most disgusting movies I've ever seen. But at the same time, I fucking love it. I do. I love it. I think it's great. And yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yeah. That's about all I can say about that. And I don't remember, maybe somebody in the chat knows, but I told Joe that I thought that Ty West wasn't the original director, that he was brought in. But I could be wrong about that. But I remember hearing that from somewhere. But yeah, Cabin Fever, definitely fun. Just don't eat while you're watching it. You're number 4.
My number 4 is The Innkeepers.
I knew it. Yeah. I knew it. You fucking traitor, you.
The Innkeepers is a very good slow burn. It is. Don't get me wrong, Ty West has a lot of slow burn movies, but this is the slowest of the burns by Ty West.
Yep.
Now, that doesn't mean that it's bad because it's an awesome movie. It's just, for me, this is a really weird movie for me because I love this movie, but I feel like I can't be like too tired watching it because number one, it's too long. It's not long, but it's so slow that if I'm tired watching it, I might start to doze off. But not only because it's slow, because it's very comforting. There's something very comforting about the movie. The same way I feel about The Shining. The Shining is another movie that is a masterpiece for me. I love The Shining, but if I watch it when I'm tired, I'm going to fall asleep because just the way that it's built. You know, again, it's also a slow burn, but it's a comforting slow burn. It's a brilliant slow burn, and that's how I feel about The Innkeepers. Yeah, I love the characters. You know, the two leads in The Innkeepers are great. I love their chemistry together. I love how, I mean, I love her, Sarah Paxton. I think she's awesome in this role. And even him, even though he does something questionable in the movie, I do like his character for the most part throughout the film. So I really do like them. But it's a slow movie. I can understand why there are people who don't like this one because some people just don't like dealing with slow burns. I love the location. You know, it's like I said, the inn is about 2 hours for me, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I want to stay there.
Really nice inn. I love the setting, love the location, love the characters. How can I say this? The evil in the movie is depicted very well.
Yes.
A lot of movies get this part of it wrong, and this movie gets it right.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say anything else without spoiling it.
Yeah, I was going to compare it to something, but I don't want to do that because it's very, I'll just leave it at that. I think these actually might be switched for us, I think. I could be wrong. But yeah. Well, maybe not. Okay. That was your number 4, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So your number 3.
My number 3 is going to be The Sacrament. This movie is freaking scary, okay? I know found footage is a touchy subject with people in general. So when I recommend something found footage, and I told this to Joe as well, I recommend 3 movies. One is the Blair Witch Project. Most people have seen it. So if I want to recommend something off the beaten path, I recommend The Sacrament and I recommend Exists. Those are like 2 of my very favorite found footage films. The subject matter in this is rough for me. It's one of them things where I don't even think I told you this, Joe. I don't like when you're watching a film to be somewhere and you can't get out. And that's the way it feels with this film.
Yeah. You
feel trapped and you literally feel like there's no place, there's nothing you can do. And that's a really terrifying feeling. And it has a lot to do with religion, which is another thing that I'm a little iffy about. So I like the characters. We have AJ Bowen and Joe Swansburg, who was in, well, actually, they were both in You're Next. And I don't know, this is just a fantastic movie. I love the premise. The premise is really good. The acting is just brilliant in this movie. Just brilliant. And this was very close to number 2 for me. So, Joe, you're number 3.
My number 3 is Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever. Yeah, this movie, like you said, it's just super fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those movies that, you know, it's not a movie you would recommend to everybody because not everybody's going to like that sort of thing. But like as horror fans, I can't picture a horror fan watching Cabin Fever 2 and not having fun watching it. Like, you know, if someone was sitting there watching that and not enjoying it, I'd be like, how are you not entertained? It's just a fun movie. I mean, the characters, the humor, the gore, just so much about it. It's like, I love how they take Cabin Fever and they put it in a high school setting.
Yes.
I love that. It takes that classic, you know, cabin in the woods storyline from the first movie and throws it in a high school at prom. And I don't know, it's just, there's just a wackiness to it, the over the top gore, the effects. It's so gruesome, it's so gross. I love that how it directly ties into the first film, especially in the opening scene. I love that they did that. Because, you know, they didn't even need to, you know, with Ryder Strong returning in the beginning. Like that didn't have to happen, but they did. So
I like that.
The Creep, it's already out. Jeepers Creepers Reborn, it's already out. Yeah, so I just had so much fun with this. You know, like you, the first time I watched it, I remember liking it, but I wasn't like, oh, I didn't love it for whatever reason. I didn't really remember too much about it. When we watched it this time, I loved it. I was having so much fun.
I just remember it being really gross.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my God. I mean, I don't look away, but I cringe in this movie.
I always remember the school bus scene at the beginning.
Oh my God, me too.
Yeah,
me
too. I always remember that.
That sets the tone though for the film. That kind of lets you in what you're in for.
But when the guy the guy's at prom and he's in the bathroom and you know that I don't want to even say what happens to him. But that scene is so gross. Yeah. We'll leave it at that. Cabin Fever 2 is my 3rd favorite Ty West film.
Part 3 is pretty good too, Patient Zero. I actually do like that one as well. And speaking of Cabin Fever, the remake will be getting a positive spin.
Sure will.
Yep.
The Creep, I did not get it yet. I have it on my Christmas list, so I didn't want to buy it in case either my wife either my wife or someone else buys it for me, but Jason actually has it.
My number 2,
The Innkeepers,
is The Innkeepers. Okay. Everything that Joe said is 100% correct. With the there's something about Sarah Paxton and Pat Healy,
yeah,
that have amazing chemistry. And not only in this film, but if you watch Cheap Thrills, it's freaking amazing. Absolutely amazing. There's something about these two on screen that really seem real. I want to actually stay at the Yankee Peddler Inn because I think it's a really cool looking place. And do you remember the name of the Top Gun girl that was in it?
Like her character name in the movie?
No, that was Lee something something, but her real name.
Kelly McGillis.
Oh, Kelly McGillis. Yeah, Kelly McGillis is in this. Of course, she doesn't have the. Yeah, she's not exactly what she was in Top Gun, but she does really well in this.
Now she's like the bottom gun.
Yeah, but this movie is freaking awesome. This has always been one of my favorites. I know a lot of people complain about it, and like Joe, I do get why people may not like this. It is very, very slow, but boy, does it build tension. Oh man!
Yeah, and I think the thing is, it establishes those characters so well.
Yeah,
You have this fantastic setting. So I think I don't mean this to be insulting, but I think people who don't like it, it's like, it's not just because it's a slow burn that they don't like it. It's because they're just some people who just can't get into characters and setting, and they need more. And
yeah.
I'm not like that. I mean, I can appreciate different aspects of the films. Like, I don't need like all that other stuff. I mean, like I said, like even with Pearl, which again, I hate to keep going back to it, but like at least the way it was shot, I could appreciate a lot of stuff about it without it being necessarily my favorite film, you know? And the Innkeepers has so much to offer. I mean, there is so much to offer here between the backstory of what's going on in the inn, again, the characters, the setting, the other guests in the inn, which I like. There's just a lot to kind of keep you entertained while you're watching the suspense build.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's just it's pretty amazing. Definitely pretty amazing. I do want to go to the Yankee Peddler Inn one time. Hopefully that wouldn't be my last time, but yeah. All right, Joe. You're number 2.
My number 2 is The Sacrament. Yeah, so this was the first time watch for me. I had wanted to see it for a while. For some reason, I had always forgotten about this movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, pretty much what you said. The subject matter is really what gets me in this one.
Yeah.
It's genuinely scary. I mean, there aren't a ton of movies that really unnerve me. This one is a scary movie. If you're the type of person who can put yourself in other people's shoes, in characters' shoes in movies, you try to empathize with characters rather than just, I hate when people always say, "Oh, nothing scares me." I'm like, yeah, chances are none of us are going to be hiding in our fucking underneath our covers. You know what I mean? We're all adults. We're not going to be scared by movies. But if you can really put yourself in the position of the characters, I think people can understand why certain movies are considered scarier than others. And The Sacrament for me is one of those movies because they're helpless. They're in a position where there's really no way out. Like they're just trapped. And I like the characters. I really like the villain in the movie.
Yeah. I didn't want to say it. I was
very realistic. It's a very realistic the big baddie. I think it's found footage done right. If I feel like this is one of those found footage movies that maybe even people who don't like found footage will enjoy.
Yeah.
Because again, it's found footage done right and it's realistic. It's not found footage for the sake of being found footage. There's a reason why it's found footage. And this one really blew me away. Especially as a first time watch. When we were watching this one, I was like, damn, you know what? This might be number 1. But then we watched the movie that we kind of knew was going to be number 1 to begin with.
Yeah.
And it kind of confirmed, okay, yeah, this is still number 1. But for me, this was very, very close, very, very close to being number 1.
Yeah. And it was close to being number 2 for me. Because it had been a long time since I had experienced this. And I knew what it was about. But something about seeing it again, it's just like you said, being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, it's very frightening.
I think also like what we said, it wasn't as well received when it was released. I think it might be better received if it was released now, because I think it's more relatable to the times.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know, with a certain big thing that happens in the movie, it really kind of coincides with what has happened over the last few years or so.
Yep.
And I think that's what kind of makes it scarier.
Verge brought up a good point. He said that the ghost at the end, but it's so vague you can't see it. It needed to be enhanced a bit. I saw it, but you don't get to see it very well. So you might be right about that, but sometimes what you can't see is a little bit more scary, or what you can't see well. Sometimes, but yeah, you might have something on that one.
Jack, what movies would you say are scary?
Scary
Yeah.
is subjective, though. I mean,
No, that's why I'm
like,
curious. But like I said, I
yeah,
think
me too.
I'm not saying anybody in the chat. I'm just saying in general, and I've said this before in videos. Sometimes I feel like people have a tendency of just saying, and I know this a lot on Facebook groups, and this always drives me nuts. People are
Yeah.
always like, "Can somebody recommend a movie that'll scare me?" I watch everything and nothing scares me, and this and that. And it's like, and that's why I think, like, come on, like I don't really watch anything and get scared either. But
Right.
there's a difference between saying something is a scary movie and saying I'm scared by something. You
Yeah.
know, and I feel like some people can't distinguish the two. It's like, because they're not having nightmares over something, well, it's not scary because I'm not scared. But again, it's
I
so what
think
is
you used a better word. I think the word unnerved is probably better for something like The Sacrament, because, like you, I sit down here by myself in the dark and watch movies all the time. It doesn't bother me.
exactly.
Some things do bother me, though. I mean, like you were just asking Jack what scares him. It's John Kirby for me. It always has been.
See, for me, it's stuff like this. It's like a movie like Silent Night, and I'm not
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
Silent Night, for anybody in the chat, not the Silent Night Deadly Night remake from 2012. I'm talking about
Yep.
Silent Night from 2021, which I just reviewed earlier in my 12 Days of Christmas this year.
Yeah,
That
that was pretty
movie
rough.
is scary to me. It's like, it's not even like a full-blown horror film. It's like a mix of genres. But
Yeah.
the subject of that one is what is scary to me, because it's so real and it makes you question, if you were in that position, how would you react?
Yep.
It's stuff like that that gets to me. And that's why something like The Sacrament is the same way, because it's like,
Yeah.
if you're in that position, what do you do? And I maybe that's why you and I enjoy movies more than a lot of other people, like a lot of movies that people tend to dislike, because I
Yeah.
think you and I have a way of sort of opening our minds to certain things like that. I think we have a way of like empathizing with characters.
I think you're right.
And it's just, not that some people are refusing to do it, some people just aren't able to do it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I just think for whatever reason, you and I can do that. We don't necessarily watch. We think a lot deeper into movies sometimes than maybe we even should. But to me,
Yeah.
it makes it more entertaining for me. If I'm going to spend the time watching a movie, I'm going to put all my energy into it. I'm going to pay attention to it. I'm going to get everything I can possibly get out of it. You know,
Yep.
for me, movies are not just a pastime. It's a passion for me.
Yeah.
So I really sort of like to do like a deep dive into films.
The one I watched today, Prisoner in a Ghostland,
Yeah.
you had to pay attention. You couldn't be doing anything else
Hmm.
because it's so different and so warped and so involved.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, some of it's foreign language too, and you have to read subtitles. And if you don't read subtitles, you might miss something. But regardless of that, there's so much shit going on that if you miss something, that could be the reason why something else doesn't make sense. Just like you said with Nope.
That's exactly how I feel about Nope. I feel like a lot of people, not everybody, some people just aren't going to like it because of the genre and what it is. But I feel like a lot of people, again, noticing on like, Facebook movie groups and stuff, and all these people, you have all these people who, hey, Dan, all these people who talk about it, and they're clearly saying stuff that's inaccurate about the movie, and they're giving that as the reason why they didn't like it. And it's like, well, they clearly weren't paying attention if this is what's confusing them. And that's how I feel about a lot of stuff, like M. Night Shyamalan movies. You and I are huge fans of his work, and a lot of people don't like his movie. And I think it's for the same reason. A lot of people don't really pay attention to all the things in M. Night Shyamalan movies to truly appreciate what's happening.
Yeah.
So
I
sometimes
feel that way as
when the
well.
twist comes, they don't appreciate the twist as much because, I've heard people say, oh, that came out of nowhere. But not if you've been paying attention, it hasn't. Like, there's usually clues all along the way that lead up to that big twist in those movies.
Verge got it.
Yep.
Everything about him. There's something about him that just, I've had nightmares about him. I don't know. It's just something, because usually, I mean, we're not talking about Chuck Norris right now, but something about killers, they usually wear a mask and you can't see underneath of that. When you look at this guy's mannerisms and facial, it's just something. Oh, man. I could go on and on about that, but I won't.
Well, we did in our last stream.
Yeah, we did.
We did the Chuck Norris stream.
I could see that, Jack, inside. Yeah. Or wait a minute. Something like Inside is more intense to me. Yeah. Inside's a rough movie. Yeah. The remake is not as good. It's filmed well, acted well, but not as good. But yeah. Yeah, I can see Inside. I watched it again recently, of course, for the Christmas. And what do you think about that one, Joe?
I like it. I mean, I see that one as more of like a disturbing kind of horror film, like,
yeah. And like you said, intense too, because
yeah,
it's constantly her and the other person in the house.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few other people that show up, but that's tough, man.
I mean, for me, like the scariest villain in cinema history, for me, is Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men.
Javier Bardem.
Because
scary dude.
He's a human.
Yeah.
So there's like that hope that you can stop him, but he's also like the Terminator where he just keeps coming. And as the movie goes on, you're starting to realize, Jesus Christ, what can I do to stop him?
Yeah.
Like there must be some way, but how can I do it? And to me, that's scarier than having, say, an actual Terminator, because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, is a Terminator really going to come after me? Or like even like in Jaws. Okay, if you're really scared of Jaws, don't go in the ocean. If you're afraid of Alien, don't go in space. But with Anton Chigurh, he's just some guy that could just walk into your store. He's some guy that can walk up to the side of your car. He's some guy that does not care. There is no empathy for anybody else. He is just out to do one job, and he's going to do it, and no one's going to get in his way.
Yep.
So somebody
I will
like
say
that,
he's one of the best.
Yeah, somebody like that is that's a scary villain to me. It's so well done. But anyway, we're one away here. So what do you got for number one for Ty West? We're going off on all these tangents here.
Yeah. But I do agree with you though. Anton Chigurh may be my the roughest villain. Yeah, definitely.
We both have the same number one here. So our number one is The House of the Devil. And we both knew this was going to be our number one going into this.
Yeah, I mean,
and then we kind of watched them and we were like, maybe not. And then it's like, for me anyway, I mean, 2 minutes into The House of the Devil, I was like, yeah, it's number one. I love this movie. And it establishes its atmosphere immediately, and you know what you're in for. I mean, it feels like late 70s, early 80s horror, and it just nails it. I mean, and I don't just mean it establishes that feel. It somehow captures that without being filmed in that time period.
Weird, isn't it?
Like it feels like it was filmed back then. It's like Ty West went in time and filmed it.
It does. 100%. 100%. I don't know how he did it. It's tough. It's tough to do something like that. I mean, yes, you can do like The Conjuring did and put the credits like it was a 70s film and all that. But there's something about the look of that film. I don't know. It's just something about it. He captured everything perfectly. I don't know how he did it, but yeah, it's amazing. Freaking movie. And again, we have Tom Noonan and AJ Bowen in this. Yes, The Girl from Next Door is a creepy film. They put a bowl in his head, Joe. Sugar?
Yeah.
Sugar. Was he like the ultimate badass? Okay, all right. Anyway, yeah, House of the Devil is pretty freaking amazing. And also, like I was telling Joe when we watched it, because we talked about The Innkeeper's, how slow it was and everything. A lot of his movies are slow burns. Pearl is a slow burn. X
X is a little bit faster, I think, than
a
lot of the others. I mean,
yeah.
To be honest, I think what helps X is all the nudity, probably too. I mean, that's one of those things that kind of keeps you distracted.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because it does take a while to get to the
It does.
So I
think that's what it is. I think it's the pornographic stuff that keeps you distracted, that you're not really paying attention, that violent stuff isn't happening yet.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. I didn't think about it like that, but
with the House of the Devil, I mean, even though it's a slow burn, it's like this constant tension. And I think it's a little different from the Innkeepers in that the Innkeepers, because you have those two characters sort of going back and forth.
Yeah.
Whereas the House of the Devil, for most of the film, she's by herself. So again, it's almost like that claustrophobic, trapped in the middle of nowhere in this unfamiliar house with this unfamiliar person in the house with you. The house is amazing. I love the look of the house.
Oh my God.
The lighting in this movie is brilliant.
Yes.
It's so good. And there's just, so even though it's a slow burn, it feels like you're there with her in the house.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're babysitting with her. So every little creak and crack and sound and everything you hear, it's like you're there with her and you're like, oh shit, what was that?
Yep.
And I feel like that's what really works. Whereas like in the Innkeeper, and again, I love the Innkeepers, but the Innkeepers, there's a lot more talking because you have multiple characters interacting.
Yeah.
With her, it's like her trying to call her friend. Okay, she's not picking up.
Right.
She turns on the TV. Okay, now she turns it off. She orders a pizza. Okay, now she's done with that. So there's like not a lot of dialogue in between all of these scenes, which is interesting.
I can't remember the name of that art house movie.
What?
From Wild Eye, Brad was asking about. I can't remember. Fuck. Anyway, but yeah, you're right about that. And the way the way they set her up, Jesus. See, I've watched this a bunch of times, right? I told you I've watched this a lot. So Corinne was down here and she was watching it with me. And she was getting kind of unnerved, being in the house by herself. She was like, but wait a minute, she called the pizza in. I said, they put that number up there for her to call that.
Exactly.
And that's, I think.
And then when AJ Bowen's character shows up.
Oh my God.
And that, even that scene when she's eating the pizza and she realizes something's wrong with it.
Yeah.
And she starts spitting out and she starts washing out her mouth with the water. Like, and again, it's these simple things, but it's done so well.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And it also helps. I find her super attractive. I like her as, she's very believable. As the college girl looking for the job and stuff like that. I love like the hair, like for the time. Like she has that hair down
perfectly.
She really fits perfectly. But I do find her super super cute too. So
and her friend too.
Yeah,
her friend's hairstyle as well.
Exactly.
And it seems weird, but they nailed the clothing. Mm-hmm. Of course, the automobiles, because I hate to do it. I don't like to pick on movies, but I'm the type of person that if you're going to tell me it's from the 70s, I better not see anything above
80s car. Yeah, sometimes exactly.
I'm like that. I hate to be like that, but I'm like that. Yeah. I will look for things to fucking rip it apart, even though we do positive spin. But I'll also give it a pass too, if it's low budget. So
yeah, you got to work with what you got.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but man, being able to capture an entire like two halves of a decade, that's a tough thing to do. Mm-hmm. And that was one of his first movies.
It doesn't look like it's a movie that's trying to take place in the 70s or 80s. Right. It looks like it was filmed then.
Yes.
Like it looks like
Yep.
he filmed it in 1979 or whatever, and it was like,
Yep.
and then it just got released in 2009. You know, I mean, it's like how did he do that? I mean, there are other movies that try, and some of them really do succeed, but not as well.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, as much as like The Sleeper, I feel like The Sleeper looks very vintage, but you can tell that it's a newer movie that just captures that look very well. Whereas The House of the Devil, for me, literally nails it 100% as if
Yeah.
it was filmed then.
The Sleeper's close though. Sleeper's got to be a
It
good
is, but
80%.
I'm using The Sleeper because it's that close. But
Yeah, it
even
is.
still, I feel like The House of the Devil gets it just slightly more. There's
Yeah, it
something
does.
about
It
House
does.
of the Devil that really does. It makes it feel like you were like if someone said to you, "Yeah, this is a movie from 1979," you would believe it 100%.
I did not know it was a newer film when I watched it, and when I saw those credits, when
See you, Brad.
I
See you, Brad.
oh, see you, Brad. Um, when I looked it up later and saw that it was a later film, I actually stopped the film and rewinded it, put it back in or whatever, and watched the beginning again. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I don't know how he did it.
Yep.
And I watched it again from the perspective of knowing that it was a newer film.
Yeah.
And I was completely fooled. Because I had people recommend it to me. I didn't know if it was old, if it was new. There's a lot of things that have gotten past me. But that, oh my God, that movie is so fucking good. Yeah.
Verge, I mean, I feel like it's in the sense that that's what a lot of like 80s horror movies
Throwbacks.
were like. They all looked like that staged feel to it. So I think that was
Yeah.
like it was like purposeful, you know? Like the decapitation scene and stuff like that. Like it's I think it was done like that on purpose.
Yeah. I think the one thing that hurts that movie, and I will say it, is I'm a big fan of The Sleeper. I always have been. It took me by surprise. I still love it. I still watch it. The one thing in that movie that I would replace if I could replace anything is the line dance thing. The thing where they're in there dancing.
Oh yeah.
I can't stand it. I can't stand it. It makes it seem ridiculous. Movies back then didn't do that. And I feel like I understand what he was going for. He was going for the whole Teen Wolf thing where they were all doing the dance and all that kind of stuff. But it just didn't work for me. It really didn't.
Yeah.
If he had taken that out, I could honestly see that being a 80s film.
Yep.
From beginning to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. But yeah, this was fun. We actually blew through these in 2 days.
Yep.
With even me being sick and Joe hasn't been feeling good. So, you know, we've been kind of on hold lately, sort of. Except for watching these.
We started a new challenge that we're going to announce next year, and then we got sick, so we stopped that for a little bit, but we're going to get back to that soon too.
My fault, because my voice is, if you couldn't tell, my voice is just screwed.
But, it's a lot better than it was.
Yeah, it's getting there. And slowly but surely, it's getting there. I just don't want to do anything to. I fucked up yesterday. That song. I had it on. That song that goes woo-hoo. That song.
Yeah.
Well, I started doing it in the house. I couldn't talk after that.
Song 2 by Blur.
I was like, shit, why did I do that?
Yeah.
I was starting to feel myself. That was probably why I started feeling bad yesterday.
That's what happens. You just have to feel better, and then you think, I'm okay now, and then boom.
Woohoo! Yeah, Jack's been sick too. He's been recovering. It's fucking.
Tis the season.
This goddamn sinus infection, man. It's like it's fucking killing me. I mean, I do feel better today. Don't get me wrong, but whew, every day's been a challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Maybe at some point, Dan, we have so much planned. Eventually, we'll get there.
I sent Joe The Mind's Eye, which we haven't watched yet. Dan, the reason why Dan's asking is he knows I'm a big Joe Bagos fan. Do you have Almost Human, Joe?
It was on my Christmas list, so I might.
Really?
Yep.
Fuck yeah.
So
And then we got you have VFW?
I do.
And you have do you have Bliss?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, I'll have to look for that. See if I see it when I'm out. That good movie. They're all good movies. I mean, he's a very talented director, kind of like Ty West. Although his last 3 movies for me have been kind of duds. I'll say I haven't been really all that impressed with In a Valley of Violence, in a Valley of Violence, Pearl or X.
Yeah.
We'll see what Maxine has to offer. Almost Human is fantastic. I freaking love that movie. And I got to find out what year that's from, Joe, because that will be... I gotta look that up. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that, man. Even though I just said it. I would love to do it. If you've seen all the Joe Bagos movies, yeah, it would be a lot of fun to do that. We have a lot of stuff coming up, though.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. But we're going to keep on trying to do these streams every once in a while where we rank stuff. We have talked about, well, one we talked about that we didn't do, we'll probably do next year around the Halloween time because we kind of missed it this year. We were doing a lot of stuff. And because I do really want to do that one. I'm really into that one. And another one because I need to watch some of the movies that you sent to me, even though I watched 1 or 2 of them. Anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, we have so many options for these. I mean, I do want to do Halloween soon. With the release of Halloween Ends now. I mean, I'd like to do that.
Jack, I think you might actually be right about that. And Joe and I actually said that they look better. He's always known how to film a movie. That's one thing I always said to Joe. This guy can film a movie. And X and Pearl, even in a Valley of Violence, looked really good. But it's just I'm struggling with some of the content.
What he's doing is, and you can see it in those 3 movies because these are his most recent 3. He's experimenting with mixing genres.
Yep.
You know, like In a 100%. Valley of Violence was like his version of a Western and like with some like, I don't know, it's like a revenge kind of Western, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, then you have X, which was like, I don't know, Boogie Nights meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Then you have Pearl, which is like the Wizard of Oz meets the Evil Dead or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They have the whole basement shit. So it's like he's taking these unique tones and playing with them, and they're not really hitting it for me. I mean, that's
me neither.
That's the thing. And I guess I can see why some people enjoy that, but for me, it's like, I don't know.
Pick a lane.
Yeah, it doesn't quite deliver as well as I think he intends.
Yeah.
I mean, Pearl, you almost don't know what to think when it's starting, like with the music and the font and stuff like that. It's like, what the hell is this?
And you said it as well with Pearl. And I said it as well, that it doesn't seem like she's able to carry the movie herself.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of characters for her to bounce off of. And like I said, I'm not going to really spoil it for people who haven't seen it yet. But some of the characters she can't bounce off of as well. Like, I'm just going to say it, like animals. I get that. But I don't know. I don't think she's quite strong enough to take on a movie like Pearl by herself. We'll see what Maxine has to offer. Because we didn't really get a very good glimpse into Maxine unless you want to consider Pearl a Yeah, Pearl was like Maxine when she was younger or whatever.
I really think, like you said, I really think they should have just made it to one like 2-hour movie, and
Yeah,
they could have done flashbacks in X with some of the scenes from Pearl, and so utilize the best stuff from Pearl as flashbacks in X, and I think it would have worked better. To have an entire film about Pearl, I just wasn't a huge fan of that.
I forgot about that. Her dry humping the scarecrow.
Yeah, Wizard of Oz. Dorothy never did that.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of weird shit in that movie.
Yeah, I like. All right, so if I didn't know what Pearl was, and I'm flipping through the channels, and I see the opening credits of Pearl with that music and that text, chances are I'm changing the channel.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, this isn't my type of film, like something that I feel like dedicating some time to. So it's like it's right off the bat, it establishes a very strange tone.
I think, I figured it out last night and I forgot to tell you. The thing we didn't like about Pearl, the end with the faces.
Yeah.
If you watch his movies, House of the Devil, the very end is her in the hospital. You're just sitting there looking at her in real time as the credits pass.
Yep.
Innkeepers, you're looking at them taking her away, and credits go. He leaves the scene going. It doesn't fade to black until towards the end, right? So he tries to get everything he can out of it, and I think that's his style, right?
Well, yeah, and this just proved that all he had in Pearl was her.
Yeah.
So all that was left was for her to stand there making these weird. And don't get me wrong, I understand the point of that scene, but it should have been much shorter.
Yes, it got awkward, and it didn't make any sense.
Yep.
I get it. You're trying to showcase her as an actress. She is a good actress. However, you can take a good actress and put her in a bad situation, and take away from her acting ability. And I think that's exactly what he did.
By the way, guys, for anybody who hasn't seen Pearl, and don't get me wrong, it's a good scene. It's really well done. But there is a 9-minute monologue in Pearl.
Yes, which I happen to really enjoy.
It is. It's done well. Again, you think of like a horror film.
Yeah.
You think of like X, and this is like a follow-up to X, and like you wouldn't imagine there being a 9-minute monologue.
Yep. That's true.
It just goes to show you what to expect with Pearl.
Yeah.
It's a one-woman show, and yeah. The creep, we are going to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question, Joe. Is he dating her?
I don't know. I mean, I think she's still getting divorced from Shia LaBeouf right now.
Okay. It just seems like something that a director would do. Involved.
Yeah, she's like Sherry Moon zombie.
Yeah, but I don't want to put him in a bad light. I honestly think that Sherry Moon is a good actress. I think that
I do too.
I don't think that every part that she's been in his films have been good for her acting ability. But then you see a movie like Lords of Salem, where I think she was brilliant in that film. Brilliant.
I mean, I think she's brilliant as Baby, especially in Three from Hell.
Yes.
I mean,
see, the other ones didn't show her in that great a light.
No,
except for I think House of a Thousand Corpses uses her.
Yep.
Perfectly.
I think House of a Thousand Corpses. I was going to say. I think she's used well in that.
Devil's Rejects is the one that I think she's a little off in. Yeah. But she does make up for it in Three from Hell.
I think with Devil's Rejects, it's like you get like Bill Moseley really shines in that one. Yeah. You know, he's like the really brutal one in that one. And I feel like that's kind of like he kind of outshines her in that. Yeah. And then in one, it's like a good mix of like all of the different characters. Yep. And then in Three from Hell, it's really like she really takes the reins in that, I feel.
Yeah, she does.
Even with Bill Moseley and Richard Brake by her side,
Yeah.
I feel like she is just really good in that. And I obviously Lords of Salem. I absolutely love her in Lords of Salem. But for anybody who says that Sherry Moon Zombie isn't a good actress, I say watch the Lords of Salem, watch Three from Hell, and then watch The Munsters all back to back. And you tell me she's not a good actress because she played 3 different roles in all of those movies.
Yep. She played them well too.
So
I still think her best job is Lords of Salem by far.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
This is my favorite movies from this year. Huh. Yeah, I definitely want to say it. I definitely need to do that.
Well, maybe in February then is when we'll do our favorites of the year, because then we can have a chance to watch it.
Yeah.
And because we're only going to include movies that we own, like we always do.
Well, and plus there's movies that we haven't seen either that I think deserve a legitimate shot.
Yeah.
So, we do have... You and I have seen quite a few of them. Have you seen Black Phone yet?
I haven't, but that's another one that's on my Christmas list.
Okay. I'll watch it with you when you get it.
But that's a 2021 film.
Is it really?
It is, yeah.
Well, it didn't make my top 10 anyway. So. Yeah. Close though. Really a lot of good films this year. We have been very lucky as horror fans, I think. And I mean, I know a lot of people didn't like Halloween Ends. I get it.
The Black Phone gets the same treatment like Psycho Goreman did, because the Black Phone premiered in 2021 at film festivals all around, and that's still a release. It still counts.
It is, yeah.
It's the same with Psycho Goreman, so it is considered a 2021 film. But because it was released here in 2022, everybody says, "Oh no, it's 2022." No, it's still a 2021 film. If there was a movie released in France in 1989 and it wasn't released here until 2015, it's still a 1989 film.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's still doesn't just.
And there are a reason for those rules too, because there's specific films that get shelved for years, but they were made in a certain year, and you can say it's a 2002, but if it was shelved and it didn't come out until 2008 or 2009, it's still a 2009 film.
Exactly.
It hadn't been premiered or anything like that. So, yeah, me too, Jack. Lord of Salem's awesome.
I remember arguing with somebody about that, earlier in the year when we were talking about like our favorite horror film. It was last year, I think. We were talking about our favorite horror films of 2020, and I said Psycho Goreman. And I had everybody up my ass. My ass saying, "Oh, it's 2021." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm clearly showing you when it was released. It was in 2020." And everybody's like, "Yeah, but it wasn't released here until 2021." I just
matter.
Well, what the fuck? Like, what? Since when is that the rule?
Yeah.
Like, so
you can't change the rules just to suit what you're talking about. Yeah.
So every foreign film, if it wasn't released in America, it's not considered the year that it was released. I mean,
get the fuck out of here.
It's wild to me that people would come up with their own rules.
Yeah. Yeah. That's usually people that can't be wrong, though.
Yeah.
They like to change the rules to suit
especially when you can look this stuff up and it says, the premiere was like I
learned that you got to be really careful with that stuff, because a lot of times I'll mislook it too. I'll look at the wrong thing. So.
Yeah, I mean, I always go by if it premiered at a film festival. I don't care if it was one film festival. That's still considered the release date. It's the day that film was released to an audience that wasn't part of the crew or the cast or kind of critics. It was officially released to an audience. That is the release.
Yep.
That. I mean, a movie like The Evil Dead is the perfect example of that. Some people say, okay, well, it was filmed in '79, but it didn't officially get released until 1981. And then it didn't have a wide release until 83. So some people consider an 83 horror. Some people consider 81. Some people consider 79. No, it's 1981. That's when it officially released for the first time.
That's true. That's what I always considered it. I didn't know it didn't get a wide release until 83. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Man, he was young in that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I always wish for more from him. I mean, Sam Raimi's taking care of him,
It's cool though, because it just goes to show you the iconic role, because he hasn't been in so much, I like when we were watching that I'm not gonna say what it is because I don't want to spoil it. When we were watching that special recently, you and I, for our next challenge, how Eli Roth talks about how when he watched him when he was younger, he was like, this guy's gonna be a big star. I can't wait to see him in more stuff. You know what I mean? Like you do kind of get that. Like he has the chops to do it, but even though he hasn't done a ton of stuff, it goes to show you how iconic that role is because everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll never forget, and like I said, I don't want to give it away either. Entertainment Tonight predicted that very same thing.
Yeah.
When the movie came out, and I can't remember what year it was, but the most popular one.
92?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you look at him in Bubba Hotep, you know, and it's like, damn, like this guy's awesome. Like, why isn't he acting in more stuff?
You know what? I'll dare to say that may be my favorite performance of his.
I think it is his best performance.
Yeah.
Think about it. The guy plays Elvis as a guy who might be pretending to be Elvis, or is he the real Elvis? You know what I mean? So it's like, think about that role. It's like he's playing he's playing like a multi-dimensional character in more ways than one.
Yep. I still like JFK. That's funny.
Hell yeah.
That movie's fucking great. And that was one I just didn't get it at first, but I'm glad I do now.
That movie's awesome.
Yeah.
The Creep, I still need to watch mostly the movies that aren't out on physical media yet. So I still need to watch Barbarian. I'd like to watch that one.
I did see that.
Yep. That one's definitely getting a release, so I've been waiting for that. Because I can watch it right now. It's on HBO Max, but I want to wait for the physical release.
Yeah.
Either way, again, I mean, when we do our list, it's going to be only movies that we actually own physically.
Yeah.
So we may have very well seen more movies than we're going to be talking about, but we're only going to include movies that we physically own. It's just what we do. But I still want to watch Barbarian. I still want to watch Prey. I want to watch Christmas, Bloody Christmas. Those are three big ones right there from this year that I want to see before we do our ranking.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know if there's anything else from 2022 that I feel that I need to watch before doing the ranking.
Yeah, I got to think about that one. I don't know if there really is. I think we've seen pretty much all the major stuff.
Another one on my Christmas list: Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I want to see that.
Yeah. Is Men on your list?
No,
you didn't put it on your list.
All
right,
because of what I heard about it. But like I said, I will pick it up if I see it. Cheap.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. I just had a different reaction to it. But then again, I had a different reaction to
Soho.
Last night in Soho. So
yeah, I mean, there are still a few that I want to see before, but I feel we have seen a lot, I think, from this year.
Yeah, we have. It's been such a good year.
And I've been trying to do that because of the Tuesday Top Tuesday. I mean, I want to kind of have like a fair shot at that. You know, when I do my top twos, I want to watch as many movies as I can from a given year, so that way I can pick my best top two.
Yep.
With that being said, I know what my top two are for 2022.
Me too.
So I really don't see it changing.
No.
I mean, my number one is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
When you and I watched our number one together, we were like, holy shit, like this movie is fucking amazing. Like we had so much fun with it, and of course we were waiting for all the hate to come because we knew it was going to.
It's inevitable.
But I mean, and then I watched it again, and I've watched it I think 3 times now, and I love it. I love it
too. I don't think I've watched it 3 times, maybe twice, but it's pretty freaking awesome.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see it. It's not going anywhere.
No. My top 4 are like a lock, I think, of 2022.
Maybe. I don't know. Like Jack has me really, I mean, a lot of people have talked about it, but Jack kind of has me, because I'm a big Joe Begos fan.
Oh, Christmas, Bloody Christmas, yeah. That might be one that might be able to.
Yeah.
In there. But I think we both have the same top 4. And I feel like they're strong 4.
Yeah. Oh, I still got to see Nope too.
Yeah.
So
right now, that would probably be number 5 for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, Beef Curtains, how you doing?
What's happening, Beef Curtains? Yeah, we did our Ty West countdown, minus Trigger Man, of course, which one of us is going to have to say. Maybe I'll look and see if it's on Tubi or something. For $25, I don't really think I need.
I'm sure I can. I mean, I'm sure I can find it, but I'm saying the official copy.
It's way too
I'm not
expensive.
Gonna, you know what I mean? I mean, if we wanted to watch it, we could watch it, but again, we don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Dial Code Santa Claus. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Deadly Games.
That movie's awesome. I will never understand why that didn't get a remake here. I feel like that movie would do so well here.
Honestly, and I don't want anybody to judge me because I am somebody who has no problem with subtitles. But knowing a lot of people, if they just released it with an English dub, I think it would do really well here. To be honest, I truly do. Because I love the look of it, the house and everything too. I'm saying I feel like there are some people that stay away from it because of the subtitles. Yeah. I've heard people say that. So even if they release it with the dub,
God damn, that's a good movie.
It's so good.
I think the hardest thing would be to replicate the house.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like they almost can do with an English dub, and I'd be fine with that. I love that movie.
Yeah, me too. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. I have that coming up.
We have 2 days left of the 12 days of Christmas.
Yeah, and that's one of them.
That's wild.
I finally did it this year.
Did you do your Christmas Day video yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Waiting for it to get a little bit better.
You're really getting down to the nitty-gritty. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be too hard because, like we said, we can't really say much about it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, that movie was fucked up.
It really is.
Whew. Sleazy. Yeah. Well, I guess that's it.
Yeah. Anybody else in the chat have anything to say before we go? It's been fun. Another ranking.
Yeah, man. 8 movies. Did pretty good.
Sure, we'll be back next month with another.
Yeah.
I do still think it'd be fun to rank the movies we've done for Positive Spin up until the end of the year.
Ooh. All right.
So we have one more positive
spin.
Man. We have one more positive spin for the year, and then after that, we can start talking about them.
Yep.
Because New Year's Eve is our last positive spin of the year.
Ooh. That's a good one, too.
But I know what my number one's going to be. But
that's ooh, yeah.
No, I know what your number one's going to be too.
Probably. Oh, there's no doubt. Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Just realized what it was.
Yeah. But there are some other really good ones that are going to be up top there too. They're going to be pretty high.
Well, so far there's only one that we didn't like, and that's Dead Last. So
fuck that. Fuck that movie. I think that'll be fun though, because it's another way to kind of give a little bit of positive light on those one more time.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be cool to rank those.
So I got to figure out how many we've done up till the end of the year.
Well, I have a playlist, so I can just look at it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh.
That's
all right.
I'm glad you're taking our suggestions, Dan.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that, Dan. I've gotten some from you too, so I mean it works both ways.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with YouTube. I've learned about so many movies over the years that Some of them have been like real gems too.
Yeah. That's for sure. Even some of the positive spins.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'll be fun.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining
Alrighty.
us. It's been fun.
Yep.
Until next time, I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.
Yeah. Not sure if we're going to do an end of the year stream, maybe, possibly. We usually do. So we may see you guys again next week at some point. Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Bye.